welcome to Nobody Asked Our Opinion Podcast, a podcast where we give our opinions and thoughts that nobody asked for. I'm Joanna.
I'm Jay Jay. Hello.
And today we are going to do a deep dive into the Spider-Man franchise. We are at The Amazing Spider-Man, starring Andrew Garfield.
And Emma Stone, and Dennis Leary, and other people whose anime... Sally Field!
And Sally Field. We'll get to her in a minute.
Yes.
I looked over your notes, and you're just like, I love Sally Field! Just like, that's like 90% of your notes. And I was like...
Sally Field's on screen! Yay! Sad Sally Field. Boo!
Although, okay, I'm just gonna put it out there. Why is Aunt May in this show at all? For this particular movie, she does nothing. You have the great Sally Field playing Aunt May, and you do nothing with her.
That's really sad. Other than demand eggs.
Yeah. She adds barely anything to the story except for a plot device to get Uncle Ben mad. Oh look, she's sad. Really? This is all you're doing? This is the most underutilized Aunt May.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Of all times. But let's start out. So we get to see Peter's parents.
Yeah, and
for the first time ever.
for really the first time ever, we've just known that he just lives with his aunt and uncle, and his parents were, he was left as an orphan. But this kind of goes into, for the first time, what happened with his parents, and I don't know if is it canon? Is this an official thing?
No.
This was just bullshit that was made for this movie?
This is bullshit that was made for this movie.
Perfect.
And as I'm watching, I go, oh, I forgot to mention that the title sequence already wants to be more serious than Sam Raimi's film. The title sequence, I was like, oh, this is serious. Spider-Man does serious stuff. And then we're like, oh, here's small Peter, and his parents are spies? His parents are scientists?
Scientists somehow?
Spy scientists? I was confused. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, and so we see him they frantically try to leave the house, and the dad is picking up documents and things like that, all sort of secret and they drop him off at Uncle Ben's and Aunt May's, and they just leave.
Okay, and so my next note literally says, are we supposed to believe that Andrew Garfield is awkward and not super hot?
I literally said, are we supposed to believe that Andrew Garfield is geeky?
Yeah, is he, he is he's very attractive man.
Aesthetically, he's very pleasing to the eye.
And we're I'm supposed to believe that nobody thinks this man is attractive and that everybody hates him?
He's, super charming even as, a doofus. Even as, a geek.
So, I don't buy into any of this. Andrew Garfield is not Peter Parker. It's just already not buying it. He doesn't wear glasses. And then when he does wear glasses, he puts on his dad's old glasses. I'm like, how are your eyes not, bleeding now?
Yeah.
You should not be able to function. You should have a headache all the time. They are not your prescription.
You motherfucker, you can't just, pick up any pair of glasses and be like, oh, I can see now.
Unless he's putting them on and they're not really a prescription glasses, then your dad is just a pretentious douche. Which could be. I have no idea. We never meet his parents.
No, but I do have to say his dad's kind of foxy. I was like...
You were into that?
I was kind of into that.
So, yeah. And then, let's see.
He can be pretentious with, just...
You be just as pretentious as you want to be.
Yeah, just, you're looking good.
We find out that Peter's parents died in a plane crash.
Right, yeah.
Sure. Might as well.
Yeah, and that we see a picture of him, his dad, with a coworker scientist person, who's now the lead researcher at Oscorp.
Yes.
I was completely unaware that Gwen Stacy was a thing in the Spider-Man universe. I was only introduced to Mary Jane because
she was in the cartoons.
Because she was in the cartoons and. In the first Spider-Man movie, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, so seeing anybody other than Mary Jane, I was like, this is Wong. But apparently, there's a whole
book dedicated to her.
Absolutely, and there's online debate on which one is better which one is a better mate for Peter.
Okay, I will say objectively, that Gwen Stacy in this film is a better human than Mary Jane in the Sam Raimi film. Like, objectively better.
Absolutely, yes.
So there's.
Although I think it's kind of ironic that they hired a blonde Kristen Dunst to play a redhead and hired a redhead Emma Stone to play a blonde.
I mean, absolutely.
I'm like, okay, cool.
And that's what hair dye and wigs are for, baby.
Right?
Let's see. I have that Uncle Ben is the best. I love Uncle Ben in this movie. And I love that they have, like, you see the exact opposite conversation happen between the two of them from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. They're sitting there talking about, like, oh, you're the best Uncle Ben. You are a great dad.
And I'm Toby Maguire's like, you're not my dad, me.
You're not my real dad, and you never will be. But we have this like great, wonderful moment, and then I think later on I was like, oh nope, never mind. There's the argument. Just kidding, we're there. And so I'm watching this movie, and we see our scientist people, and I just went, sigh, I miss Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, I said, there's a couple of times I said Willem Dafoe did it better. Willem Dafoe did it better.
I miss Willem Dafoe, but
I have a note here, and it's really like small, but I think it's hilarious that Spider-Man uses Bing. He searched.
I do remember
Bing.
when this movie came out, and it was wildly a debated topic of the fact that the most unbelievable thing about the Amazing Spider-Man was that Peter Parker would dare use Bing.
How dare Peter Parker use Bing as a search engine? Gross. Disgusting.
Excuse me.
Excuse me, no.
Also, security at Oscorp is the worst.
Oh, he could just like show up and be like, I'm this really Latino sounding name person.
I'm here. And then it like is able just to walk into whatever door he wants. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I'm just gonna wait here for a minute and follow this sketchy man.
Right.
Like, what? That's not how that works. And then he gets bit by a spider.
Right. And I might be completely oblivious to how internships work, but are high school students even able to like intern at like giant corporations like that?
Yeah, that's how you gain experience, so you can. But I
did that when I was in college, though.
They had those in college also, depending on what kind of field you're looking
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I just don't. I might just be unaware of how internships work.
I will say that I think that it appears that Gwen Stacy has a bigger internship than what a normal high school student would have.
Yeah, she's in charge of like tour groups.
But no, I think that being in charge of a tour group as a high school student makes sense, like to lead other high school students around because she'll know the building, and real scientists don't want to take up their time to like show high school students around.
But she also has like codes and stuff that like I don't think an intern probably should know, right?
I think they get into certain places and like. From what it was made sound, she probably had more things than a normal intern would have because, what's his face? I already forgot his name. Not Willem Dafoe.
Connors.
Dr. Connors was really looked down at Gwen Stacy as like this, like his protege that he was like.
It did feel like that.
What was like building up, and like even her dad at one point said that like Dr. Connors wrote a beautiful glowing review for her for college, and like I cried when I read it because it was so wonderful. Like she probably has a few extra perks than a normal intern would have, but like it's not out of the realm of possibilities. Like, if she started doing, like, science stuff, I'd been like, whoa. But she's literally, like, doing all of, like, the grunt work that nobody wants to do. Like, there's probably a deleted scene of her getting coffee.
Right, yeah, for sure.
Like, it's probably there.
Or, like, Xeroxing, like, some report or something.
Yeah. But, so Peter gets the spider bite, and then we see him on the subway, and, my note is, what the fuck is the subway scene? Like, I like that he's, like, not in control of his powers, but he's also still way too good at doing things for just getting these powers.
He, like, accidentally beats up this entire group of dudes. And rips off Angelina Jolie lookalike shirt.
Yes, discount Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie loses a shirt because of his sticky hands, and then they, like, get into a brawl and whatever, and he, like, single-handedly, accidentally, like, beats everybody up.
Yes. And then he comes home and he don't feel good. He goes to bed just like they do in all of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I put down, though, I do like May and Ben's banter together. Like, and he's like...
They actually feel like a couple.
They do, and she's like, well, have some... Or he's like, oh, this is the best meatloaf. He's like, nobody likes your meatloaf. And she's like, well, why didn't you tell me I didn't like my meatloaf? I've been making the same meatloaf for 27 years. I could have made you something different. And it's such a real, like, cute little argument, because he was like, I wanted to spare your feelings. She's like, but I'm forcing you to eat food you don't like. This is dumb. I
do feel like that Sally Field and... Like, the chemistry between Sally Field and, I almost said Martin Short.
Well, that's not right.
That's not right. Charlie Sheen. Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
Sweet. See,
that would have been a different movie.
That would have been an incredibly different movie. Oh, my God. But
no, their
the chemistry was just really fun, and it really felt like that they were like an old married couple.
Yeah, no, I appreciated that. And then, there's like, he pulls the spider from the bite, out of the bite.
And like the
neck.
web, like...
Yeah. At first I was like, what is this web power coming from the back of your neck?
That's what I thought too! I was like, he's gonna spin webs from the back of his neck?
It's like...
Gross.
I was like, that's a little too on point for spiders. And then like the spider was attached. I was like, ew, this is gross.
There's that moment in like when he was like looking through Oscorp and he gets into the room with the spiders and they all just like descend upon him.
Yeah.
And I was like... For an arachnophobe, that would be like that is like a living nightmare.
Absolutely.
That is like nightmare fuel.
Yes.
And just having the one spider like attached to a web to his neck, we were just like, ugh!
Yep. Nope, not here
just
for that.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so do spiders have supersonic hearing? Because he has like ridiculous hearing, and I don't know if that's really a normal Spider-Man power. I couldn't tell
if he was sensing that things were happening or that he was hearing.
It sounded like he was hearing, because he was like, you can hear like the little like
whoa.
Yeah, the little noise things that were happening around him, like little like touchy things and stuff, and I was like, this is weird. I don't understand this power and why you have it. But sure, you might as well have it. And then my other thing is, how is he so smart and goes to a normal high school?
Isn't it the same? It's named the same high school that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man went to, right?
Was it? Because I didn't pay attention. I just know that it was
like some sort of tech college, or was it the same as Tom Holland's Spider-Man?
I know Tom Holland's one, because I made the same note, and then I realized that they go to like an advanced school for like science and technology, and I was like that makes more sense.
Never
mind. Like you are not wasting your life, but it feels like he's like wasting his life at this school he doesn't need to pay attention to, because he's already too smart for it. And I'm like, why are you not in like a fancy high school or like college classes already, or like what is the school you're going to?
Was Toby Maguire in like was his Spider-Man in like
No,
a
I feel
school?
like he was in a normal high school too, and I was like, why are these smart ass Peter Parkers wasting their life away in these like second-rate like public schools?
He's like clearly they somehow like missed like placed his like records or something. Like clearly he belongs in some sort of like gifted school.
Yes. And then we have, then he bullies the bully. Yeah, you bully that Flash.
Again, it makes me laugh when clearly, like mid-20s to early 30s actors play like teenagers. I'm like,
Sure,
you clearly man-looking man.
Yeah, he's at least a less man-looking than like the Flash from the Sam Raimi, because like the Sam Raimi like looked like his father. Yeah, this guy looks like he's like his like college age older brother.
Yeah, for sure. But it was like clear that like you're
too old
to be a teenager.
But I will say the arc of Flash in this movie is the best one so far.
Yeah, I really appreciated it actually.
I was like, look at you. Like when Ben dies, spoiler alert, Ben dies, in case you've never seen a Spider-Man movie before, why are you listening to us? But when he comes up and he's like being all like aggressive, and he's like, I get it, your uncle died. Like, I understand. Yeah. Like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And you're like, oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Flash, you kind of redeemed your shitty attitude in the beginning. I was a little confused why Peter Parker was in trouble. Like, I understand, like, the break, because in that scene he breaks the backboard of the basketball hoop. But, like, were they mad at him for, like, being mean to Flash?
I think he was in trouble for breaking the backboard, but Ben was mad at him for being mean to Flash because he was bullying somebody. Like, he was specifically picking on somebody who, even though he was mean to him first, he was like, "You're not that man. You shouldn't be that man. You are better than this." And so I think that's what that was. I think the school was mad because they broke property, which is why Ben would get called down.
That makes sense to me.
And I think Ben was mad not because the school there was like breakage of school property, but because it broke because Peter was being a dick. And he's like, no. I am not raising you to be this asshole kid. You are better than this. I love that then immediately after, Uncle Ben dropping the truth bomb of being like, "Hey, you pretty girl, he has your picture on his computer."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, don't mind me. I'm his probation officer." And I'm like, "Uncle Ben, you cheeky little bastard. I am here for you."
That's his, yeah.
And the fact that Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker are two of the most adorkable nerds on the planet together.
The interaction following that is so, like, teenage cringy. Like, they clearly don't know how to talk to each other.
Oh, I literally put down #relatable content.
Like,
I was like, why are you adding me like this Spider-Man movie?
And it's because, like, even Toby Maguire's, like, Spider-Man, he just didn't speak. He was just, like, he said nothing. He was just like...
Well, I mean, he was, like, awkward and uncomfortable, but MJ was, like, this, like, cool girl. She was, like, the cool kid and popular, so she knew how to, like, talk to people. Whereas Gwen Stacy's, like... I'm really cute and I'm pretty, but, like, I'm also nerdy and kind of an outcast. So I don't know how to talk to you cute boy that I like.
And again, kind of giving her an extra dimension.
Yeah.
Over Mary Jane, because
yes.
Mary Jane is very just like, I'm the cool girl in school, everybody loves me.
And then we switch over to a training montage of Peter Parker trying to get a hold of his powers and stuff, and I was like, cool, training montage to the dullest song that you could ever do a training montage to. I was like, why are you why this choice? Why did we pick this song? I mean, it's not a bad song, but it's not a song for...
It's not like Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, it is no Eye of the Tiger, or literally any upbeat pop song that you could have thrown in there, or like a rock song, or anything. You could have thrown in anything that has at least more beats per minute. And I'm like, okay, that was a choice. And then, let's see.
So then I think what comes, he goes and he, like, does research about Oscorp and tries to go to Dr. Connors about...
Oh, yeah, because, he goes to get him more information about his family and what his parents were working on.
So doesn't he, like, go to his house?
Yeah, he ends up showing up at his house, and he's like, why are you here? And he's like...
I'm Richard's son.
Yeah, he goes, Peter?
Mm-hmm. And so they all of a sudden, and then I put on here, they use Minority Report technology to do experiments and things. Like, they do the whole, like in the air computer stuff, and I was like, okay, cool.
And then Ben calls him a bunch of times, and
I put, what phone does Peter have? What is that phone? Like, when this was made, this was 2012, right?
I think so.
And he still had, like, I think it was a touch screen phone, but I've never seen that kind of phone before.
It was like a Nokia and an iPhone.
Like, had a bastard baby.
It had a bastard baby, and that was Peter Parker's phone.
Yeah. Because, like, I don't remember him typing anything, but there was the definite, like, touch screen, because I remember he, like, would press it. But I was like, what weird hybrid phone is he using? I
don't know.
I don't understand why they didn't just have, like, a Nokia phone or an iPhone.
Or any
any
knockoff iPhone brand or something like that.
Yeah, just have like some nondescript touchscreen phone. It's just like this weird.
Well, that was
like
their
tiny.
Yeah, it was the size of a Nokia though. But I don't know. I was confused.
It was again the Wish version of it.
Yes. So, but my point was that you take Uncle Ben's call. Damn it. Because you forgot to pick up Aunt May.
and you made her walk at night. You don't do that to Sally Field.
Oh, and then I wrote down, just kidding, there's the fight.
Like, there it goes. There
it goes. And so Peter stalks off. He goes to a convenience store. The guy's kind of a douchebag, but not so much like... So this one felt like super less justified when he was like being a dick, because when in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Toby Maguire like gets underpaid for a job that he did, which was fight in the wrestling ring. Mm-hmm. And then he immediately gets stiffed, and then the guy comes and breaks in, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna let that, like, that's not my problem because you're an asshole. Whereas this guy was like, I need you to have like 2 more pennies. Like it sounds like a dick move, but having worked where, like, in a job that requires you to cash out at the end of the day, if you are short, like, more than, I want to say it's, like, 50 cents, you get dinged. Like, you get in trouble. And if this guy, like, lets go 2 cents, 3 cents every customer, like, he's gonna lose money. And so while it sounds like a dick move to be like, no, like, okay, not letting him use the 2 cents out of, like,
I was just
gonna
say, but
like,
the take a penny thing, that I felt that was a little bit much.
That was, like, trying to justify it as far as, like, you're gonna feel great when he's, like, lets this guy rob his, like, store, and you're like, no, it's still, like, Peter's still kind of being a douche, but, like, not as much so as it could have been. Like, it was still, like, one of those moments that was just like, oh, okay. But the guy runs out, and in a moment where I'm literally yelling at my TV, I was like, God damn it, Ben. Ben Parker decides that he's going to be a hero. Mm-hmm. And you're like, no. You're like, just let the man with the gun run away. It's like the guy, and he took like $60 out of that cash register. It was not a lot of money.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was a huge wad of cash that he
it wasn't a lot of money. Like, just let him run away, Ben. But no. And so Ben Parker gets shot, and then Peter runs through, and they don't even get to have like this like huge moment. He like holds his hand, and then Ben dies.
And dies, yeah.
And you're like, well, damn it. And so Sally Field is sad.
Yeah, Sally Field is sad. I think is it the next day to that he goes to the school, and that's when Flash is like, oh yeah.
Yes. So then he goes to school after making a deciding factor that he was going to go after this criminal.
Yeah.
He goes to school, and we get to see Flash getting a redemption arc, which is great. And we're going to take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. And we're back.
Hello.
Wasn't that great?
I did so much.
You're such a liar. Okay, so going back in. So we had a redemption arc for Flash, but now okay, because I'm looking at this note, I was like, what did I mean by this? I remember now. Spider-Man goes on, he's creating his Spider-Man-ness, and he's going on revenge to track down everybody who looks like this criminal who...
He's like beats up essentially anybody who's like doing something wrong, and like checks the description that the cop gave him was like he had a star on his left wrist.
And so he goes in, anybody with long blonde hair who like looks like they're doing something no good, he goes and beats the crap out of. And so I put down, I really like the Raimi version of this revenge story better than I liked how this one is playing out. In the moment, Toby Maguire, Spider-Man, stood up that immediate moment and was like, I'm going to find this man and beat the shit out of him now, and then is able to think about Ben's words and hold back and not do anything, and then the guy falls out the window anyway, as opposed to him throwing him out the window. So, like, you have, like, this whole, like, arc that allows the rest of the movie to happen. We don't get the arc that allows the rest of this movie to happen, so, hot take, this movie should have just been this story. But it wasn't. So we get to see him doing all these things. He fell into Toby Maguire's wrestling ring.
I know, I saw that too. I was like, is this the ring that it was in Sam Raimi's movie?
Or it was at least
or like
a hint out of it.
Or like a nod to that aspect of the Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah. And then we see him actually sewing his costume.
Absolutely, yes.
Which I was like, 1, great. 2, you still should not be this good at this.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's still, the final product was engineered clearly by, like, professionals.
Yes.
Like, a 17-year-old kid could not have still made that.
Yeah. No. However, I do believe that he made his own webbing because we've established he's good at mechanics because at the beginning of the movie he has the little button that locks his door. And locks and unlocks his door from wherever he's sitting. He presses the button and it does its thing.
I thought he got his webbing from Oscorp. I thought he stole it.
He got, I think, pieces from it, but he, engineers it together himself.
Weren't they, in that little... There were, little pellets that...
He took the pellets, but he engineered the thing to shoot them.
I thought the webbing was in the pellets.
Yes, but he engineered the thing into his suit to be able to do the whole thing.
Oh, that's what you meant. Got it. And
he engineered things.
And did Toby Maguire just shoot from his wrist?
Yes,
it came from his body.
Yes.
So I thought that was kind of a unique difference in these Spider-Mans is that I don't remember as a kid remembering if it was a thing that Spider-Man could do from his body or if he made the webs.
I think both are canon to comics. I think it just depends on which iteration of Spider-Man we're talking about.
Yeah, which Peter Parker we're talking about.
Oh, and I said this costume construction makes more sense. And I'm trying to remember why I said that. I think it was the way it's put together makes more sense as a functional piece of costume.
I mean, it looked cool.
It did look cool.
It was real cool. I do have to say that his first interaction with that car thief was really kind of fun, and it sets the tone of his version of Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man as being super witty, super sarcastic.
Oh, I did write down he is way wittier than Toby Maguire.
For sure.
And
oh no, knives are my weakness.
It was great, and it's very true to the cartoons and the comics and stuff because Spider-Man's super witty.
Yeah.
However, I did also write down he just attacked that man with his crotch.
Mm-hmm. And he yelled it.
Yes.
He yelled it like a Sailor Moon attack.
Yes.
He was like, Spider-Man glittery crotch attack. And just fired, just launched his crotch at this guy. And
then the cops show up, and I put down the cops are way harsh Ty. Legit, he's just I'm just trying to solve your problems, and they're we don't got time for you.
No, it's there's another instance of that at really quick flash forward. Well, no, it's not that much forward. Where he goes to dinner at
Gwen Stacy's, yeah.
And we find out that her dad is the police chief. Dun dun dun. And he's talking about oh yeah, the Spider-Man is a vigilante and doesn't know how actual police work is done. He's Andrew Garfield's but he's trying to, do the things that you guys can't do. He's well, no, we were looking for this guy, and he was going to lead us to the master of the ring, of this whole car theft ring. But he was, didn't have a plan, and he just was going to go after the dude, just this small town guy. We were going for the big guns. Which is a fair critique that you can give to a vigilante of Spider-Man's caliber that you're just going for low-hanging fruit when the police and other organizations that are trying to get the criminals from the tops of those organized crime organizations, and not just the dudes who are just selling crack or drugs on the street. Those guys need to stop doing that, but we want to get the big fish. We want to catch the big fish. For show. The big branzino. Which they had for dinner.
Yeah, no. I said George Stacy dropping truth bombs over a whole fish. Mm-hmm. Before that, I wrote down, we have another scientist with good intentions. That goes bad.
Yes. I was Connors uses himself as a test subject. This doesn't go well. Or this can't go well. It doesn't.
Let's see. And then,
at first I was oh, look, it worked. Oh, no.
It didn't. And then for when it doesn't, I went shedding. Gross.
Oh, yeah.
Gross. That was intense. Also, Peter Parker, he broods a lot. And I'm not here for it. I get it, but I'm also not here for it unless we took out this lizard subplot, because let's face it, it's a subplot, and just focused on brooding Spider-Man getting over Ben's death and figuring out who he is as a character. I have way more notes about that later as we go, but let's keep going. Oh, okay, and so George Stacy drops that truth bomb over Fish, and then Peter and Gwen go for a walk, and then they get up there and they're talking, and then he like shoots his web and pulls her in, and I was like, okay, not gonna lie, that was kind of smooth.
You're like, okay, Andrew Garfield, I got you.
Okay, you get that.
You get that point.
And then he like does this like thing where he like looks down and he looks up and he smiles, and I'm like, you are so attractive and so charming, and God, you're just too much, and I'm here for it. Like, let's see, And then he runs off to go save the world again.
Right.
And I literally put, little kid, don't die. Okay, that was a panic attack. That was a fun panic attack. And it was it was the most rewarding part of the movie so far.
The issue I had was like, he was just like, the moment that he told Gwen Stacy that he was Spider-Man, or like, that he revealed that, he like starts revealing it to like he like reveals it to the fucking kid, then he goes and reveals it to the dad, and then like he just can't keep a secret. He like tells everybody that, hey, I'm Spider-Man, BT dubs. Yeah,
well, I mean, he showed the kid, like, he had a reason to show the kid.
Oh no, I'm not saying like, I was like, Spider-Man takes his mask off for the kid? What the fuck? Okay, he saved the little boy. It was cute.
Like, it made sense. And then, like, let him wear the mask for a minute and gets up there. And then he has his mask back on by the time he gets there. And then it totally pays off later, and we'll talk about it, but I cried. Because I cry about everything. But, so...
I know, I had emotions, too, and I was like, what the fuck?
You don't feel things.
I don't feel things.
But it was really great, and it was a cute part. And then,
I think Gwen Stacy was like, who else knows about you? And he's just like, oh, just you. Meaning, just you, Gwen. And I was like, but Jack! He knows! The little kid.
Yeah. Okay, so this is exactly where this part comes in. I wrote down, I'm kind of wishing the second movie wasn't inserted into this film. It would have been more compelling if it was just Peter learning his powers and embracing his purpose, and then having set up this lizard man for the sequel. Because we would have had this really great, compelling deep dive into the character of Spider-Man. We're seeing him beat up people and doing what he's like, thinks he's supposed to, but not quite there, because he's like learning from, George Stacy of what like police need, and figuring out that like symbiotic relationship between the police and being a vigilante and helping people, and really developing what Uncle Ben wanted him to learn about who he needs to be. And it would have been just like this great rewarding moment to have at the end, for him to have that moment that Toby Maguire's Spider-Man had, where he catches the guy and he's so full of like upset and rage, but then to, like tie him up and leave him for the police to take, instead of like beating the shit out of him. And it would have been like such a rewarding moment. And then to see like all of the stuff that he had been doing with Dr. Connors lead into like him like shedding at the end, and he would have been like, oh shit. And then it would have been like cut to black, and you would have been like, well, fuck, now I need to see the next movie. But now I'm just like, I don't even care about you, because you're not Willem Dafoe, who was a better villain. Yeah.
Willem Dafoe was a better villain, and a more compelling actor. I said this somewhere in my notes, that like, he's the only actor that I can believe when he's talking to himself, like he's like really he's really characterizing each of those like personas. Yeah. Where as opposed to like Dr. Connors like kind of speaking to himself, and his alter ego was just like, Willem did it better.
Oh, like literally for that I said, okay, discount Willem Dafoe. I'm not here for you. Said keep your crappy dual monologues to yourself and get better CGI. God damn it.
Yeah, I said, Connors talks to himself. Willem Dafoe did it better.
And then also, sewer office? Really?
Gross. Gross.
And then also, who puts labels from a label maker on their things, Peter Parker? You really, because he was like, I'm going to get these cool pictures because we're going to tease that, I become a photographer for the Daily Bugle, and they're all garbage, which I think is hysterical. But he's like, reveals who he is because he left his camera and it has like with the label maker property of Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And like,
who does that?
in the 2000s, like if this was like late 90s, early 2000s, I would have been like, okay,
when
yeah.
was this made? 2000.
I think you said 2012, and I feel like that's probably accurate. But
yeah, at that point, I think that would be a more 90s thing to do, to put label your shit like that.
yeah, 2012.
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man, 2012. Label maker, I don't believe you. And then I love that we're let's make Dad uncomfortable. I'm on my period, Dad.
That's what I put too. I did that too. What is it with straight men and like ew periods? Where? And I also put I can show you the world.
Yes, because they go on their.
They go on there like he like shows her like, oh, this is me being Spider-Man.
Oh, because I put down right before that though. Nothing says sexy time like an open wound.
Oh yeah.
This is me revealing who I like. Me like really revealing like what I do and what my life is, and here it is. And she's like, "I want to bang you."
I want to bang you, but my dad.
I was like, he has literal wounds.
He's bleeding, like profusely. You need to deal with that first.
And then we get to see we see that tail regrowth, and that was the penis.
It was a dick.
I mean, was it not?
'Twas a dick.
It was very sexual.
Yeah.
And then my next note is Gwen Stacy is greater than MJ, because Gwen Stacy is like, I got this. I will go do whatever you need me to do. Oh, you need me to go back to the office and go get things together? I'm on it. Like, yeah, no, let's just go do it. Yeah. Whereas MJ's like, I'm falling off a building, help me.
Help me.
I'm falling off here, help me.
I'm falling off this bridge, help me. I'm falling off this building, help me.
No, I can't climb down.
No,
I can't do it.
Do it.
And he's like, I literally need you to so I cannot drop you. But I can't.
But I cannot.
And then I go, hey Stan, living your best library life.
Yep.
Dancing to his the music, the classical music. It's just like there's like
while
all
there's
the
like
bullshit.
all the bullshit happens in the behind him. I put Spider-Man tells Gwen to go to Oscorp, and then the Lizard is going there too. Oh no. That's gonna be a thing now.
I wrote down, why do superheroes keep their cell phones on? Because we literally just watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where Sam has his cell phone on and it goes off in the middle, like an uncomfortable situation. I'm like, Peter, put that shit on silent.
Spoiler alert, it happens in Homecoming.
No, I know, right? Like, we're not there yet, but yeah. Like, why are you people leaving your cell phones on?
It's like, really, you would think that this would be...
Okay, and so I have a question about this like super secret serum that for the lizard man that Dr. Connors takes. Does this serum like automatically make you an evil person? Because like Dr. Connors was like a legit cool dude, and then he's like takes the serum and he's like evil. It's like, are lizards is the implication that lizards are evil?
Well, I think Peter mentions that he was he used lizard DNA. And so, I think as opposed to, I think they were using rats.
But do lizards equal evil is my question. Because that doesn't make sense on why using the lizard DNA suddenly makes him a bad man.
I mean, it could be very biblical. Like, the snake...
is not a lizard.
But it's a reptile, and reptiles are evil.
But he's a lizard. If he was Snake Man, you could go, oh, snake's bad. That's a trope. Lizards, when I think lizard, I don't think evil.
No.
I think lizard.
Well, I think, I can regenerate my tail.
Yeah. Like, I don't understand why lizard means
it could
evil.
just be like, the serum just went wrong. In the I think maybe the fact that it's lizard DNA is inconsequential. The fact that it's just a lizard just because it can grow its own limbs, and that was the thing.
Well, I mean, I understood why they used the lizard DNA. I'm just trying to figure out why this man went evil. Because as soon as the serum's out of his body, when he gets like the cure or whatever,
antidote, yeah.
the antidote at the end of the movie, he immediately becomes a better person because he's like, the police captain, you need to go check on him because I fucked him up.
Well,
I mean that's
it's
not what an evil guy says. The evil guy would have been like, fuck you.
Well, yeah, well, you could argue, like, oh, it's a genetic mutation that, like, the serum interacted with his biology, and that's what caused. And if it were to be introduced to another person who has a different biology, the serum would work would work differently. And just because it was his, and it's a convenient plot device.
See, that's what it is. It's a convenient, all of the other bullshit you said is just bullshit. It was the plot device, but that was the thing.
It's also science.
But that's what I'm calling out. Apparently, evil lizards mean evil. And then, Gwen Stacy still a badass because she's in there.
She's like,
hiding from
I'm gonna
Lizard
die
Man.
in 8 minutes. I'm gonna make sure that all these people.
She gets all the people out.
She
starts making the antidote.
Mm-hmm. She does all the things.
She tries to grab the rest of the serum to hide in the closet, and she's like, and then he like takes it from her anyway, but she's like, I tried.
She's like, I tried. I threw fire at him.
And then let's see. My next thought was the police. Why are we targeting Spider-Man? They need to sort their priorities out. Like.
Well, it's the whole classic, like, oh, the police view him as a vigilante and, like, is harmful to society. That's the whole trope.
Yeah. And then he figures out, like, Captain Stacy figures out who Spider-Man is Peter Parker. And he goes, hold your fire! And then some asshole shoots him anyway. And I'm like...
That's very much a...
hello, police. Thanks.
Hello, police. I did get a little misty-eyed when all the crane operators were like, we're going to organize all the cranes to
Okay, so first off, I was like, being shot in the leg means you can't web sling properly. I get that like trying to bounce off the buildings is harder, but like not impossible. You have 2 legs. Like you could potentially make it to where you're not in agony every time you do it. But then but then we got the crane moment and I was happy because I'd said, I love when human characters do good. Because it makes my heart happy. It was like in the first one when they're all like, don't, you mess with Spider-Man, you mess with New York, and they're throwing this stuff. And I'm like, you go humans, you make the world a better place. So yeah, when they're all like, we gotta clear the road for Spider-Man, I was like,
yes, do it. Yes.
I was so happy. My very next note is I have very little investment in Lizard Man. I don't care. Like, beat him up. I don't care about you.
At this point, you're just like, let's just
get to the end of the movie.
Let's just like fix the shit that he done and let's move on.
Oh, but then what was with that alliteration? Poor Peter Parker. Sure. Might as well.
You can do that. And I wrote, the Denali machine.
The Denali machine.
Oh, it's Gunali machine? Oh,
less interesting.
Now I'm sad. He did remember the eggs at the end, though.
Oh, yeah. No, and so I said, Peter Parker, father figure killer.
Yeah. Apparently, like, again, having not seen Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, they, like, set up, like, oh, does he know what his father, the truth about his father, like right at the very end, or was that a mid credit season?
That was the post credit scene.
Yeah, so I was like, what's going on with that? Like this is the first time we're really even getting anything about his parents. Now they're making his father to be like some dubious character. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Okay. So then we have the voicemail from Uncle Ben that he finally listens to,
and you're just like,
and so I said, I kind of wish the movie just ended with the voicemail from Uncle Ben instead of us getting like more movie afterwards because I didn't really care. Except for I put down, how did Flash end up being the best character in this movie?
And he turns out to be like a Spider-Man stan and like wears the Spider-Man shirt and he's like, "You're cool, bro."
Well, no, because he's sitting there and he shows up to the funeral for Gwen's dad.
Yeah.
And he's just like being a good guy and checking out on people. And I'm like, how are you? Like, I don't buy this character change, but I'm here for it because you're like the best human character in this movie right now. And then we got the post-credit scene. More father stuff. Am I intrigued? I don't know. Do I care? Do I want to keep going down this like trope that I know is just BS? Maybe. Let's see where it leads because Oh, so apparently this was not the movie I fell asleep during. It was Amazing Spider-Man 2. That shows how much I paid attention to it. So I have no idea what happens in that movie either. But I knew this one was not familiar.
Got it.
So let's see what I forgot with that one. Yeah, any other thoughts? What's your overall opinion of this movie?
I thought, like, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was gonna.
Same.
I was going into it thinking, like, okay, this is gonna be like some sort of like really like it's gonna be a slog to get through.
Yes.
But I think even though it's not really typical of a Peter's character, because Andrew Garfield is so charismatic and charming, because Emma Stone gives Gwen Stacy this really cool, like, I'm this, like, you know, I'm this really smart girl, but I'm also kind of dorky and weird, and like I'm also kind of ill-equipped for social interaction as well. And even though like this could be just like a featuring, like it's just Spider-Man featuring Sally Field because she's used in like 5 minutes of total film footage, but I liked the dynamic of Sally Field and Martin Sheen. I really thought that the characters were like the main players were really well done. Sure, there's some issues with the writing and with the story. I think that that Sam Raimi's the opening hour of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is superior than the opening hour for Amazing Spider-Man, like the whole becoming Spider-Man. It's just better paced, better told.
Oh yeah, it
gives
Sam
you
Raimi's,
the stakes that you need.
Yeah. Well, Sam Raimi streamlined his opening, whereas the Amazing Spider-Man is you slog through that. Like we're gonna see all of that bit that we had like a nice little time jump for in Sam Raimi's, and you're like, cool. And now everything we do, we just accept he learned off screen. That's fine.
Right. He's like, okay, you're incredibly proficient immediately as like a martial artist. Cool. You know exactly. You know, there are a lot of like plot deficiencies in the screenwriting. Yeah. But what I cared about was the actors and the characters minus the Lizard Man.
Yes.
That I was thoroughly entertained, and like at one point I was like, do I like this movie? Do I have bad taste? Like I really enjoyed this movie. Like, do I care about these characters? Like I do. Yeah, I kind of did care about these characters. I think there is something to be said about the pacing and the sort of like the plot holes in the pitfalls of the screenwriting, but I thought it was overall enjoyable. I thought it was I can see this at the time being a really kind of like a really refreshing take on the Spider-Man.
Yes.
The Spider-Man role, especially as him being Spider-Man, being so witty and sarcastic, which was something that like Toby Maguire's Spider-Man wasn't quite there with.
So no, I agree, and I think that the character development was better in this movie, with the exception of the villain. I think that the villain character work for this movie. You can't beat Willem Dafoe. Well, I mean, and they put so much energy into making you understand why we're seeing this character be the way they are. And this one, you're like, we're doing the exact same things, but bad for this character development. And so you kind of go, meh, don't care about this villain. But I'm enjoying. Yeah, I enjoy Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and I enjoy Toby Maguire's Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, I enjoy Tom Holland's everything.
Tom Holland's all the things.
But we're going to get to that next week.
Yes.
So we will.
Do we want to rate?
Shall we rate this one? Let's see. I already forgot what I rated the last one.
I rated mine 4 quacks.
Oh, 4 quacks.
I'm going to give this one 3.5 Denali's.
3.5 Denali's. Yeah. I like it. I am going to rate this. I'm also going to give it 4, but I'm going to give it 4 Gwen Stacy's.
Work.
Because Gwen Stacy is great. I always forget how much I like Emma Stone until I see her and stuff, and I'm like,
I fucking love Emma Stone. I
forget that I like her until I see her in movies, and I'm like, oh yeah, no, you're fun.
Except when she's a whitewashed Pan Asian American.
I mean, even she's embarrassed by that.
Yes.
I mean, they pointed it out, I think, at a Golden Globes, and she even yells from the audience. She goes, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
It was a bad choice.
Yes.
And she's self-aware, so it's fine. So shall we end?
Let's do the plugs.
Let's do the plugs. The butt plugs?
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Okay. Like, subscribe, rate, review, all of the things that you can do for podcasts. We are available on all podcasting platforms, also on YouTube.
So, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nobody Asked Our Opinion Podcast. Mm-hmm. Yay,
good job. We are Nobody Asked Our Opinion on Instagram. You can also find our Facebook page. We have a Facebook page too. My name's Joanna. You can find me at Joey Snow 2006.
And I am JJ. You can find me at pianoman_05.
Follow our unpaid intern Natalia, who does their social media at. Ooh, hold on.
Is it like the art?
Is it the creative assist?
That's it.
Reset. Follow Natalia, our unpaid intern, at The Creative Assist, and follow Jonathan, our producer, at Jelly Sound. We will be back to talk more about pop culture wonderfulness on Wednesday, and next Friday we will be talking and reviewing and rating the MCU Spider-Man Homecoming.
Right. Yes.
Those are all the things we're supposed to say, so we will catch you next time. Bye!
Bye!